What's going on? Here's three ways, three options to not get fat this summer, like every other summer that's come before it, without feeling like you have to restrict your life, social calendar, foods you love that run to the ice cream shop, etc. So I'm Mitch, CalFit coaching here in Winnipeg. We've helped over 2,000 people transform their lives with simple habits and routines, nothing complex. And what I'm going to share today is a proven blueprint to drop a size or two over the next 6-8 weeks. We're into the middle of July now, so by the end of August, while still having fun, no, you'll not get magazine cover lean unless you're really close to that already. But I'm doing it with you. Right now, as of today, I made this slide at 210, now I'm 207.8. So roughly 17-16% body fat according to the last DEXA. And AI confirmed that I was fairly close to that too. So I'm thinking we're in the 15 to 17% range. We want to get down to 12 or 13. Beyond that, I really struggle naturally to do that. And I start to get really, the trade-offs no longer make sense after 12, 13% body fat, for me at least. I've always been a bigger guy naturally. So that's when libido tanks, mood, joint, sleep is all disruptive, and I don't want that. So nonetheless, to get that lean, which is likely relevant to you, there are three ways. Okay, the first way is to structure your diet with low days and high days. So protein sparing, modified fast. That's the technique, the method to the madness here. I don't love prolonged fasts. I think they needlessly aggressive, a lot of deprivation involved, headaches, muscle loss. You're certainly not working out effectively on those days. So the middle ground is high protein diet, next to no carbs and fats on those days. And you bookend your weekend with those. Now this is if you really want to have a lot of flexibility Friday through Saturday, right? So those would have your calories well below maintenance just by default, just by eating protein and veggies. It's near impossible to go into a calorie surplus in that environment. Okay. So the most of the week though, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just a cap deficit. My cap framework is calories and protein matched up to your goal. So generally speaking, you take your body weight, you multiply by 11. That gives you your calorie ceiling. And then your protein, you set your goal body weight by 0.8 to 1. So if you're trying to get to 180 pounds, you're looking at 150 to 180 grams of protein a day. You do those two things, that's your cap for those 3 days. And then maintenance is just 500 calories over what you have on those deficit days to use as you see fit on the weekends. You'll still lose fat in this approach because these 5 days are putting you into a pretty deep deficit that won't be washed out by 2 maintenance days. So a little bit complicated. Plan B is my approach, simply calorie cycling. So on off days from the gym, roughly 1,900 calories. On days I train, 2,100 to 2,300. Okay, so you can screenshot this, but basically the difference is the carbs around the training. So I'll have a small banana with my pre-workout drink on the training days. I'll have probably a bit more carbs in the following meal. It doesn't show that necessarily here, but I usually like to have a bit more rice post-workout. And then it also gives me the opportunity to have a mega ice cream bar as a snack at night versus a grenade bar, which is still a treat, but not to the same level. Okay, that's the major difference. The rest of the meals are pretty straightforward here. Okay, and I think there's a bit too much reliance on shakes. So I'm going to likely shift to a whole food breakfast once I start to feel appetite is getting up to that 8 out of 10 daily, right? So keep that in mind. Plan C, though, is really just the best approach for 99% of people most of the year if they're on a diet, and that is to have that cap deficit pretty much 7 days of the week, maybe a maintenance day on a day of your choosing when it happens because you have a wedding, for example, or you have an evening out. That could be your Saturday. That could be a fun meal on Friday. That's your maintenance day, and the rest of the week is pretty darn consistent to that cap deficit we already talked about. So for me, protein 200 grams plus per day. For you, base it off your body weight, like I talked about, and daily movement. Okay, makes sense? Pretty straightforward. So knowing the plan and living it are two different things. Most people know what to do. It's information isn't really the bottleneck now with ChatGPT and AI. Google's always been there, but why are people never really seeing results? And it's the implementation piece. So the accountability. So from here, we opened this up on the live call, so I'm doing it again here. on your own. Everything I've taught, you pick your road from those 3 options and you try to execute it. Road 2, though, is actually with someone in your corner, a coach adjusting the plan, calling you out when you slip, keeping you accountable, giving you a framework to follow, and the check-ins weekly that really prevent you from like slipping, disappearing. And really, both look fine on paper, but one gets you there a lot faster. It's like taking the speedboat across your goals versus the paddle boat, right? So essentially what we give you is those custom cap targets. You get a Big 5 system installed for you. So simple habits, but set around what you can consistently commit to. A workout plan made for whether you work out at the home or in the gym 3 times a week. Those weekly check-ins, but I am touching base far more frequently than that. If I see you miss a workout on Wednesday, I certainly call it out and say, hey, what's up? And then the 5-2 system, should you choose to go down that route, we set it up for you weekly based off which days you want. And the community that's filled with eagles, not crabs, so that they soar alongside you. You can actually draft off people who are further ahead of you in the challenge. We'll share what's working for them. And then we give you a full 30-day meal plan based off what you have to navigate over the next month. And should you choose, blood work and hormonal consult, because we do partner with someone locally. Should you need to shore up hormones, GLP-1 medication, some things, and some people just need a little extra help in the early going to execute what is a very simple system. Okay. So all that said, $2,000 real value. In fact, my costs on this are upwards of $900 just to set up a client. So this offer is literally at a loss for me. The 6-week Beach Ready Challenge. Okay. So it starts next Monday. My cost to onboard, again, it's like I'm writing you a $500 check, but it's to do it to prove this works and will rock your socks off. And I know a certain percentage, majority of the people that take us up on this, will bridge into one-to-one coaching for a full diagnostic 12-month plan. Like, okay, I want to sculpt at the end, but I need to shred and stabilize first. So you get to your goal weight, you maintain it, a new normal, what's the system look like, and then we add some well-placed muscle to your frame. So that's all well down the road, but that gives you an idea of what's included, and we already talked about the bonuses. So this link is in the description below the video. Should you want to enroll, I don't usually make these things public, but nonetheless, if you take the information you learned today and you execute, you'll do great. It's just the hard part is getting started.